Hi there! In today's video I'm going to be showing you how to do a simple in the pot swirl. It only requires 2 colors and it will really give that wow effect to your soaps for say beginner soap makers who haven't really figured out how to get the swirling going really well. So yeah, let's get started making soap. Okay, so we are ready to begin. I've got my oils here and they're already mixed up and ready to go, and I've got them cooled down to a little under 110 degrees, and I have my lye water, which is around 113 degrees. By the time I get this going, it'll probably be a little bit less than that. But for the in the pot swirl, you kind of want things to be a little on the cooler side anyway, and that gives you just a little bit more time to kind of play around. So first things first, let me just tap out some air bubbles and make sure this is good and mixed before I add my lye water. So I'm going to go with a really light trace because I want a lot of time to play around with the oils. So I'm just going to mix it up. This is already a really light color. So we might not need to do too much as far as whitening it up at all after. There, that's some pretty light right there. So at this point, everything is pretty light trace. See, we don't have a whole lot going on here. And I'm going to start by coloring the entire thing the color that I want it to be. And then I'm going to split the batch. So I'm going to use La Balm Girly Pink for this one. And I got this from Brambleberry, and you may think that this particular kind is only for bath bombs, but honestly it works great, absolutely perfectly in your cold process soap, and it makes the most beautiful vibrant colors, and I haven't had any problem with fading or bleeding into each other or anything. It just works out really well. So let me mix this up and see what color we're at. So I'm going to want this to be more pink, less yellow. So we're going to do a little bit more. And I don't really have a formula for the color. I just kind of eyeball it and figure out what I like. And when I like it, then I stop. Okay, so I think this is the pink that I want to go with right now. I don't think I want to get much darker than this. Maybe just a teensy bit more. We'll see. There we go. That's perfect right there. Now we're going to split the soap into 2 different containers, and we're not going to add our fragrance oil yet because fragrance oil has a tendency to make your soap move a little bit quicker, and we want some time to kind of play with it a little bit. So I'm going to put half and half. There's that one. This one. All right. Now in one of these containers, we're going to add a little bit of the titanium dioxide, which is the white, and that's to fix the, I want the same basic pink, but I want it to be lighter. So in order to achieve that, we need to add a little bit of the titanium dioxide. I'm going to mix it up a little bit because it's been sitting here in this little cup while I was waiting for my oils to cool. So, and we don't need to add a lot. So we're just going to add like a teaspoonful. See where we're at with that before I add any more to it. And I can start by just kind of mixing it with my hand. You want to try to not use the mixer a lot, because the more you use of the mixer, the thicker you're going to get, so that you have a lot less time to work with it. I want it to be a lot lighter, so I'll do a little bit more, mix it in, and then I will use the machine. I think we can use the machine now. Let's see where we're at. See, there's a nice soft pink right there. Love it. It's perfect. Next up, no more hand mixer. We don't want to use that anymore, or else we may not have time to work with our stuff. What we are going to do now is add our fragrance oil. And for this soap, since this is going to be my piglet soap, I chose this Applejack and Peel. And it's kind of a fun apple cinnamon, kind of a bright, I don't really know how to explain it other than I absolutely love it. And it does kind of yellow a little bit, but I think once we mix it in, we'll be fine. One of the other things that this does is it moves fast. This particular fragrance oil, so know your fragrance oils before you use them, or else you may end up with not enough time to do what you want to do with your soap. And that's another reason why my temperatures on this one are a little lower than what I usually do, and that's because I needed to give myself more time. So there we are, all mixed in. And I'm going to move this out of the way and move this over. This is the original pot that we started with. And some people do it a little bit differently, but for me, I love the way it looks when you pour them together, just like this. So I have my beginner pot, my 2 extra pots, my different colors of pink, and I'm just going to take them and I'm going to just pour them together. Just like that. Perfect. Then I want to finish getting the rest of this out. Nice and high. The higher you put it from the pot, the deeper it will sink to the bottom. The closer you are to the pot, the more towards the top it'll be, your colors. So you got to think about that. There we go. Perfect. Again. So now you can see that you're already pretty well swirled in there, but if you want to give it just one little extra oomph, you can just kind of go like this a couple times, pull out. Now get your soap mold. Figure out where I put it. There it is. And now you're just going to pour directly into your soap mold. See, it's already starting to get really thick, so you can see the swirls in there already. This is absolutely gorgeous. Love it. Okay. Now for the very top of it, I think I've said this before in my other video, I'm a cake top kind of person. Don't really like the flat part. You know, the soaps that have the flat top. Unless there's something specific I'm doing where I need it to be flat, I never do. I always have peaks and that good stuff on top. So since it's already thickening up quite a bit, I can just start caking it on top. If for some reason it wasn't thick enough by now, which with this fragrance oil, I kind of knew I wasn't going to have a lot of time once I added it. If it's not, you can just let it sit for a few minutes, maybe 5 minutes, check it, come back every 5 minutes, and when it's finally up to the consistency that you want it to be, in order for you to do your top the way you want to do it, then you just go ahead and start spooning it on, and then just, you know, play with it. Just move it around. And the thicker it is on the top, the easier it is to make little peaks and valleys and give it that cool top. So don't be in a rush. At least not for this part. Still got a little more in here. I hate wasting soap. Can't do it. Okay, perfect. So I know this one's not as dramatic as some of the other in the pot swirls that you can go ahead and look them up online and you'll see some other ones. If you want a lot more drama for your soap, you're going to want to use like really bright colors, like maybe a lavender and a turquoise, you know, like a royal purple and a turquoise or something like that. And that's going to give you a lot more of that swirl effect. But you'll see when I cut this soap that this is the perfect, nice, light swirl for the type of soap that I'm making, which is my piglet soap to go with my Winnie the Pooh and my Tigger soap. So I made these ears, and these are going to go in here just like on my Tigger soap. I put ears, just same thing. And at the end of the video, I'll put a little section that shows you how I made them, just in case anybody wants to try this out themselves. But I'm just going to add piglet's ears to each of my sections of soap. And I've marked off on my mold where I cut, so that way I can make sure my ears are in the right place, or any other embeds that you ever want to put on your soap. You're going to want to make sure that you have them spaced out to where you're not going to be cutting into them when you try to cut your soap. Anyway, almost done. One more set of ears. There we go. So there it is. Here is my piglet soap. I'm going to go ahead and put this thing to bed, and then tomorrow I will cut my piglet soap and you will get to see how it looks on the inside. So thanks for watching, and like I said, if you want to know how to make these little embeds, just stay tuned at the end of the video. I will have like a little spot on there for learning how to make the embeds. So if not, then thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye! So for anybody who wants to make the embeds, the ears, if you're planning on making a piglet soap or a tiger soap or whichever one that you want, this is how I do my embeds. I get the melt and pour, which I use the goat's milk melt and pour from Brambleberry, and it's the white one, and then I just melt it in a container and add my fragrance and my color, and I'm using the same girly pink La Balm color for the ears as we did for the soap. Pour a thin layer in here, let it dry. Once it cools down and it turns into this, then you just find, for me, I just happen to have some little chipboard pieces that kind of look like piglet's ears, and I just set them on like this, and I'm just using anything with a nice little blunt end on it will work, and I'm just going to trace around the ear, my little template, so all my ears will look the same. And I just was lucky enough to find one that actually kind of resembled his ears. And then it's just simple, kind of the same as what you would do with paper. You're just going to cut them out. And I'm using my kitchen shears, not my paper shears, because these ones, I'm okay with them getting wet. And it's a lot easier to cut them out with scissors than it is to try to do it with like an X-Acto knife or something. And then you can just kind of play with them. Get them into the, clean them up on the ends, however you want to do it. But here's his ear. And then you just kind of want to bend it a little bit, like so. That way, when you stick it inside the soap, it'll hold inside the soap and look like an ear. And that's how I made Piglet's ears. It's also how I made Tigger's ears. And this is how I do a lot of embeds. It just depends on what I'm putting on there. So that's it. I hope this was helpful, and thanks for watching.